Welcome to Podjunction, where business meets podcasting. Whether you're on a morning jog, driving to work, whipping up a meal, or just simply taking a minute for yourself, our weekly bite-sized episodes promise fresh insights from successful podcasters who have cracked the code of using podcasts to grow their business. So whether you're a podcasting newbie or a seasoned podcaster, this episode is for you.
Well, hello, welcome to Podjunction. My name is Matt. Beside me is the talented Sadaf Beynon, and we're here to talk to you about podcasting and how to use it to grow your business. That's the plan. That's the aim. That's the strategy for today. Is that right? Have I got that right?
That is right. Absolutely. 100% correct.
Woohoo! Go to top of the class for me. That will be a beautiful thing. You know, I've just got, but you won't know this, dear listener, but I have just got back from St. Andrews where my son graduated, and we went to his woohoo! We went to his graduation ceremony, and it was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. You know, I mean, he did super well, bless him, but there was so much tradition in this graduation ceremony that it just tickled me, because when I graduated from university, I think I was saying, if I got a high five from the chancellor as I went past, I did well, I think. Whereas Josh, oh no, there was a whole lot more to it than that. So he's definitely top of his class, and he's graduated.
Amazing.
So yeah,
Well done.
That was the link. That was
you.
the segue, by the way. Was Josh being top of his class? So
Got it.
yeah, there we go. So yes, how was your weekend?
It was a long time ago.
Was it?
What? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's Wednesday today as we're recording this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my first day back in the office, to be fair.
We had some good friends visiting us from the States.
Oh, good friends.
So, yeah.
As opposed to just friends.
Yeah.
Okay, so I like this. I've just dropped my pen.
Do you want me to get that?
No, I'll get it in a bit. Okay. So good friends, right? Here's my question for you then.
Oh, no.
What makes a good friend versus a friend? Like, am I on the friends list or am I a good friend?
You'd be on the good friends list.
You have to say that.
I have to say that.
But when I'm not listening, what list am I on?
You're on the good friend list.
We're on the acquaintance list.
It's the friends you can laugh with.
Okay.
Lots of laughter.
Lots of laughter.
Yeah.
Very good. So good friends. Mm-hmm. Who are your good friends? You can use podcasting to grow your good friends. So it's just pointing that out. Anyway.
Another friends.
Maybe that's a whole new podcast.
Yeah.
Podcast your way to better friendship.
Yeah.
.com.
I like that. That'll be the next one.
Yeah, that'll be the next one. But today we are talking with...
We are having Skip Wilson back on.
Legend.
And he is going to be talking about some of the challenges he's faced in podcasting.
Ooh, podcast challenges. Dun, dun. Are they like... emotional challenges? Are they like physical challenges? You know, like a bit like Iron Man? The reason I'm asking this is because, again, you won't know this. Even if you're watching the video, you won't know this. Our studio has changed dramatically in the last few days, mainly because I decided to rearrange everything.
Yes.
Because we needed more space to get production team in here. The people behind the cameras that make it all work whilst we're recording. And so I rearranged everything. It took me hours. That was a challenge. That did felt like an Iron Man. I felt like I lost 3 kilos just with all the lifting and the sweating and the moving stuff around. So
and emotionally?
Emotionally, I was distraught. I left this place on Saturday because I had to do it when no one was in, and I was crying. Yeah, I needed counselling. It's what happened because Matt decided to change the studio around. And so then again, before we hit record, there was 3 of us in here, wasn't there, talking about, setups and how it all works and stuff like.
Yes. And to the eagle-eyed, we've lost our table.
Which you are really upset about.
Mm-hmm. But it's coming back, I hear, in a different form, slightly different form.
Hopefully. We do need, I get your point. We do need some kind of table in here. But we don't need it now. We're going to carry on. Shall we play the Skip Wilson clip?
Yeah, let's do that.
And by the way, if this is your first time with us, a very warm welcome to you. The way this works, by the way, apart from the banter at the start, which is typical, we play a clip from an interview that we have done. Well, you did this one. Yep, you did the interview with Skip. So we're going to play a clip from that. After that clip, Sadaf and I are going to be back to talk about that clip what it means for podcasters, what it means for us, because we're podcasters as well, stuff we learn from it. So stick around. We'll be back after this. Here's Skip.
What are some of the biggest challenges you've faced in running the advertising podcast?
The biggest challenge is I would, especially for someone starting out, the biggest challenge is overcoming that like sense of that you're just creating content that's going out into the void. That's this big hurdle I'd say that everyone's going to have to overcome at some point. But just remember that everyone did that, right? Like everyone had to start out with that point of you're creating content that's just sort of dying on the vine, and that's okay, because that doesn't mean that that's always going to be that way. And those types of things. I would say that's the biggest challenge for the advertising podcast in particular. We ran into a scalability issue. In other words, we're a small team. We're a team of only about 10 individuals. And we actually got so overwhelmed just with work, like just with, having client flow and keeping up with orders and those types of things, that we essentially ceased all marketing efforts, including the podcast for a time, because the last thing we needed was more business for a period of time. I would say that was the biggest challenge. And so what stinks about that, when you have to take a long break like that, is you're essentially starting over again. So I would only do those things if you have no other choice. Keeping something going from weekly to bi-weekly, is better than stopping entirely.
So what did you do? You stopped, did you say?
We did. But that's it was only because the last thing we needed was more folks. So if you're struggling with orders, then the last thing you need is more orders.
Yeah.
But we're in a different phase now. We've hired up and all those things. But yeah, that's something to think about, especially if it's a business focused podcast or a podcast that you're doing for business reasons, is you just want to almost sort of have the seasonality in mind. For example, if I was an accountant, let's say that we were an accountant and we were doing an accounting podcast, which doesn't sound thrilling, but let's say that it was, then what I would, that January through April is horrible time for like every accountant everywhere is just hating life for those 3 to 4 months. So rather than doing a weekly podcast year round, think in terms of seasons. Do like a 20 episode season, and then produce that in June through October when you've got plenty of time on your hands.
Yeah.
So be intentional about where it falls into your realm as well, which we did not do a good job of, and that's why that was our biggest challenge.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's learning from it, right? And that's what's the best thing
Exactly.
that comes out of challenges. So
Exactly.
So how do you then manage your time and maintain that balance now with draft media and with the podcast?
We've hired folks. That's that's the main way. Delegation and scaling things up. That's one way to solve the problem. The other thing is just to be intentional about your to-do list and your task list, treating it with if you book a recording time for your own podcast, stick to it. Keep it like it's an important client meeting with your most important person. That's the only way sort of to do it. And if that's the case, if you are for us, where each day is so changes so wildly based on how many appointments we have that day. Like my calendar today looks incredibly different than my calendar tomorrow. There would be no way I could do a live at Thursday at 2 p.m. podcast, right? Because I would have no clue whether Tuesday at 2 p.m. on Thursday works. So that means that I either need to pay for a service that I can pre-record and make it seem live, or intentionally not do a live.
Yeah, you have to make it work for yourself. And like, as you mentioned before, the consistency aspect of it, with bearing that in mind and still being able to make the podcast work for you.
Exactly, because you want it to go out to the public. You can record it whenever. Nobody really cares about that. But when it goes out to the public, that's what you need to be consistent with constantly. And so that's why I would not choose a live format podcast. Because I don't really like the ones that seem live but aren't, because I think that's disingenuous. Although no judgment of anyone that does do that, because that's fine too. But I just don't like that format, because I can't say have consistency on the recording side, but there's really no excuse not to have consistency on the posting side. That's just like making, at some point during your week, make sure that you've got something scheduled for next week.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've talked about consistency. Is there anything else that you think are good skills or attributes that are essential for running a successful podcast?
The main thing that I think is essential is being a good storyteller. Being able to talk in things like, consistent themes. Even if you have a purely conversational type podcast, you want it to always have a consistent theme. You want each person to sort of play a role or character so that they have, what's called parasocial consistency. So, in other words, if someone's always the funny, goofy guy, you want that person to always be the funny, goofy guy. And if somebody else is always the more serious person, you always want that person to be the more serious person. So you want to recognize that what you're trying to do is provide some sort of benefit, even if the benefit is just just entertainment to that listener. That's your number one priority. Usually that comes in the form of couching it in a compelling story. So if it's just one person on the podcast, you want to make sure it's got an introduction, 3 points, and conclusion. If it's if it's the conversational one, then like I said, you want to make sure everybody's playing their roles and that it's all got consistent themes. So internal consistency as well as consistency with when to post and those things.
If that got you curious and you want to catch the full episode, be sure to subscribe to the show. We've got plenty more great conversations coming up.
Welcome back. So that was an interesting. I got sucked into that. Interestingly, ended with storytelling, and I got sucked into his story, into Skip's story with the challenges. So this is an interesting one, isn't it? The challenges of podcasting. How hard is it to actually do? So if you're podcasting, you probably know the answer to this question already. If you're starting out with your podcasting, then obviously this is something you have to think about. How would you have answered that question? What have been the challenges for podcasting from your point of view?
From my point of view?
Yeah.
I would say the challenges when you're starting out are finding your voice and finding your style, I guess, and being comfortable with it. And the confidence that you need that goes with it.
Yeah.
I think those are the first things.
So how did you find your voice then?
I think through just doing more podcasts. And the great thing about what he said, actually, and I know it's not great for some, but for me it is, that the first content that you're creating, he said, you're putting it out into the void and no one is probably even seeing it, which is fine because it's training ground.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah.
And one day you can go back and you can cringe or laugh or whatever. That's okay.
Yeah, I probably do both.
Yeah.
Probably do both.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I think, he talks about the challenge there, didn't he? The big challenge I think everybody faces when they start a podcast is just the doing it. Because I remember the first podcast I ever recorded just felt really weird. It was a solo podcast. It was just me in a room talking into a microphone about something. What I was talking about, I have no idea, but I was talking about probably e-commerce, I think. And it just felt really, really odd. And the only way to overcome that was just to keep doing it. That's it. I mean, if we're looking at a camera now, we're talking into a microphone. So obviously it's easier because we're sat beside each other, we chat away. But we're still talking to a camera, and you still have to overcome that. It's not like we have an audience respond. We don't know if the jokes are hitting. We don't know, anything really. But you've just got to have that internal compass, I suppose, that belief that, okay, we feel like we're on the right track.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'll adapt and overcome as we go through, to quote Clint Eastwood. Name the movie. Mm-hmm. Can you name the movie?
Nope.
No? Heartbreak Ridge. Anyway, I've shown my age there. So, so old. Yeah, I can read your, it's showing on the camera, I can read your lips. So I think he's right. That's the first hurdle, and I think that's a major hurdle for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Which is why our advice is always, if you're going to start a podcast, plan to do 20 episodes. Because by the time you've got to episode 20, you'll have started to have found your voice. You'll start to feel a bit more comfortable in front of the microphone.
Yeah, you get the hang of it.
Yeah.
I think the other thing, like he was talking about consistency, in that you need to be consistent. You might not be able to be consistent in recording because it might depend on different
I thought that's a really
factors.
good distinction, actually.
Yeah, but you need to be consistent with the posting.
Yeah.
And I think that also, going back to what we're talking about with the confidence, the voice, all of those things is part and package of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a really good distinction to make. The distinction, the consistency in posting. So doing what you need to do to post consistently is super important. So when we record the podcasts, we have recording days. So I have recording days like Mondays and Thursdays, I think. And like tomorrow, I'm not recording anything because I'm clearing off to the States. But there are days where I'll do like 4 or 5 podcasts in one go. And like with Podjunction, little secret, we don't, it's not like we record a new podcast every week. Well, this one is just a solo episode, isn't it?
Yeah.
As in, we're only recording this one and then that's it. Am I right?
That is right.
That's correct. But last week we recorded 3 in one go. And I think that's okay. You know, we do the batch recording because that enables us to post consistently. Yeah. And I think that's such an important distinction. Do what you need to do to record and to enable you to post consistently, whether that's every week, every other week, once a month. Probably once a month is maybe too few. But I think find your consistency groove. Yeah. Is that a phrase?
Sure, it is now.
Consistency groove. Quick, go register the domain name, consistencygroove.com. So you've got to find your consistency groove. What's going to work for you? What can you put out there? And then just make sure you hit that every time. Figure out a way to make sure you can do that. Because consistency wins every day, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. What do you think about the seasons idea? He was talking about the accountant and seasons.
I think something like that would make sense, like from his example of an accountant. I think that would make sense. I had not thought about it like that. I think I've always thought about consistency as in for the long period, not in seasons. So not consistency from June to October. I don't know, picking months out of the air, but I meant like, you know, all the time.
Yeah. Because we did seasons, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
With EP, with e-commerce podcast. So if you don't know, I host a podcast called E-commerce Podcast. That's one of my ones that I do. And initially we did seasons because we couldn't create a mechanism whereby we could hit that consistently every week. Because when you're starting out, you do everything wrong and way more bigger and way more time is involved than you need, right? Yeah. And so it was taking us too long. We're spending too much time. It involved too much. So we were like, well, let's just do seasons. And that seemed to work. It also helped us get guests, so we didn't feel the pressure of getting guests. I think we created overwhelm for ourselves because we also made it live at some point, didn't we?
Yeah,
we thought we'd live stream
stuff we were doing.
Yeah, and so overwhelm, I think, is a big deal. But you can do seasons. The thing that I don't like about seasons is obviously you don't get the downloads during between the seasons. Yeah, and so whether that harms you from a discoverability point of view, some people would argue one way, some people would argue another. And I think that's fine. I think that, so the accountant could do seasons. We did seasons. We then went to weekly because we got our groove, our consistencygroove.com, trademarked, Matt Edmundson. So we got our consistency groove.
But we were also very keen to have that consistency.
Yeah.
We wanted that.
Yeah, we did. So actually, it was easier for us to move to a weekly show than try and do the seasons. Yeah. Ironically, it took less thinking.
It did. And in some sense, I think once we got that, as we were getting that going, it involved more work because it changed the way we were working. But once we got there, it's been a lot better.
It's been a lot easier. And I think our system now is a lot more straightforward. He says, because we're about to increase the amount of episodes we do on EP. So we may be going from 1 episode a week to maybe 1 or 2 a week. Yeah. Who knows? Watch this space. Depends how many guests we get on, I suppose. Yeah. But we are going to increase the consistency of the show. But I think we can do that without creating this is my big thing. Can we do it with a resource that we have without creating overwhelm?
Yeah.
How do we make that happen? And so, I mean, you mentioned Amelia. She's earlier on. So Amelia's coming on the show at some point. Amelia's a legend, but I remember having a conversation with Amelia this time last year. She was telling me she was spending 8 hours to produce every podcast. 8 hours. I was like, do it in 2. Get it down to 2. Which she did. You should maybe ask her about it. But it just takes away that overwhelm. Yeah. Which I think is important for consistency. So, I thought that was a really good point. But seasons can work.
Yeah. But another thing, talking about seasons and consistency, is that as a listener, if I've got a podcast I really like and I like tuning into it and it's become a bit of a habit, then if there's seasons, I think I would find it harder to stick with them. Because in that time when they're not playing a show, I'll find something else and I might get hooked onto that.
That's true. That's one way to think. I suppose the other way to think about it, because as you're talking, I'm thinking of Malcolm Gladwell's Revisionist History, which is a seasonal podcast. I am more likely to listen to all of his episodes just not because I know I don't have to consume the content every week. Right. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So I know I can consume that at a pace that's going to make sense for me, because he's going to do 10 or whatever his season length is. And then there'll be like a 5-6 week break. Yeah. So I can sort of catch up on myself. Whereas something like Freakonomics, which I also subscribe to, which is a weekly show, I am much more likely to filter the different episodes. So I'm like, I don't listen to every single one because I've not got the time to devote to listening to that podcast every week. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. So I'm filtering by the title, just as we talked about on previous shows. So I'm on the titles, I'm looking at the titles, don't want to listen to this one, yes or no, right, bush, that's out. And so I think there's a counter argument to what you said. Yeah. I'm not saying that what you're saying is wrong. I think there's a different way of looking at it. So, which basically means there's no right or wrong way. You've got to figure out what works for you, for your audience. Yeah. So maybe we should go back to doing seasons. No, we're not doing that. Not doing that at all.
So what did you think about what he said with the parasocial consistency? So where he was talking about, like, you'll have, so you want to maintain the themes, for one. And the second, the characters. So if we're co-hosting or, tell me about that, Matt.
I thought it was interesting because he talked about the goofy guy and the serious guy. And I'm like, which one are you and which one am I?
That's the question I
had. I don't know. But it is an interesting thought. And again, as he was saying that, I was listening to some of the podcasts that I've consistently listened to. Certainly the conversational podcast, which is the podcast format we tend to do, there is consistency of character in that. And I'd never thought about it that way. So they always play the same role. So, I mean, we've joked about on this podcast, like, who introduces it? Do you want me to do that? Do you want? And it's you tried it a little bit. It's defaulted to me introducing the show. And maybe that's a good thing, listening to it, because it's consistency of character. Whereas if you started introducing the show, I mean, you would be way better at it than me. But do you know what I mean? It would be one of those things where I think he's right. We shouldn't alternate it. We should pick a pattern.
Yeah.
And then if you do it, you do it. But it's not you one week, me the next week, because that's inconsistent in character. And I thought, actually, that was really fascinating. And I really like that idea of get good at storytelling. It feels like it should be a whole separate Podjunction podcast, but that concept, that idea of storytelling, and so on e-commerce podcast, it's always the same. I'm always playing the same character. Yeah. On this podcast, I play a different character. But on EP, on Push, I play a very similar character. One, I'm an e-commerce dude. The other, I'm just genuinely interested in talking to leaders. And so I think it's a really interesting one. And actually thinking it through, that whole concept, because we're going to bring this extra pillar of content into EP where we interview founders as well as experts. I have to find a way to be consistent between the two of them based on that advice. And so what I can't do on one is be the person trying to absorb all kinds of information, but on the other one, be the coach.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? That wouldn't make sense necessarily. So it's that kind of, I have to remember that actually when I'm doing the interview, and that was quite clarifying. I thought it was a really good point, and that's why I wrote that down. I thought, actually with this new content, I need to have a consistent character, even though we're introducing slightly different
that's a good point.
Interviewees into the same thing. So I think otherwise you're right, you probably have to do a different podcast.
Yeah.
Which I think is really fascinating. So I like that. What did you think of it? And which one are you, goofy or serious? I'm definitely goofy.
I want to be both. Sorry, Skip. I don't know. Maybe the audience can tell us this one.
Yeah. Which one's Sadaf, goofy or serious? Maybe you are both. I don't know. I've never known you serious.
He's lying.
I've known you mad or upset. Serious? I don't know.
He's made me mad and upset.
Many occasions, probably. Man, you just want to get the text messages late at night. Matt, you said this earlier.
What did I say?
What did I do? I don't know. So yeah, I thought I really liked that. I thought there were very, very valid points off this week's show. So yeah, anything else to add from your point of view?
Oh, I think we've covered it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, hope you enjoyed today's Podjunction podcast. This is how it works. We just chat and try and figure things out as we go along. And I think key takeaways for me, maybe we should introduce this as a segment to the show. Key takeaways, because we talk about a lot of stuff.
And then we lost it.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, it's your fault. You're the producer.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's definitely not mine. No. So what were your key takeaways? Key takeaways.
I think consistency. I know it's a big one and it's an obvious one, but I think especially as we're starting out with something like this, we're still kind of trying to figure it out. Yeah. I think it's important that we keep that at the forefront of our minds for the sake of our audience.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
How about you?
Storytelling, consistency in storytelling. So yeah, that would be the biggest one for me, would be that. Because I think we're pretty good consistency-wise in getting content out. It's more thinking that storyteller thing through with the changes we want with the e-commerce podcast and what that means. So that's what we have to think about. So we will keep doing that. That would be my key takeaway. So yeah, we should maybe get some music or something which enables us to sort of differentiate the key takeaways. We could have like a button on here where we press it and it's like key takeaways, boom, boom, boom. And then we could go say what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you make that happen?
Yep. I can. I'm good at delegating as well. It's coming back to you.
Yeah, Matt, it's in your diary to create. I'm going away for 3 weeks.
Your diary will be waiting when you get back.
Your diary will be on the top when you get back. But yes, so this is the beautiful thing actually about batch recording is I can go away for 3 weeks, come back, and no one knows. Everyone just feels like, oh, Matt's out there every week, which is nice. So yeah. Are you going to miss me when I'm gone?
Oh, so much.
Yeah, whatever. Like
I'm going to catch up on everything while you're gone.
Going to get so much work done. But yeah, no, that's cool, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic week wherever you are in the world. We'll be back next time to talk more about podcasting and how podcasting can work to grow your business. Make sure you like and subscribe and do all that wonderful stuff, which keeps us going, lets us know you're interested in the show and the content we put out there, and also tells us the wonderful people like Apple and Spotify and all that sort of stuff that we can do some funky stuff. And they promote us, which is a beautiful thing. So anyway, plug over. Thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else from you?
Nope.
All right. Bye for now.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode at Podjunction. If you've enjoyed the insights from this episode and want to hear the full conversation with today's special guest, don't forget to visit podjunction.com where you'll find more information about how you can join Podjunction cohort. Whether you listened while on the go or in a quiet moment, thank you for letting us be a part of your day. Remember, every episode is a chance to gain insights and to transform your business with podcasting. So keep on tuning in, keep on learning, and until next time, happy podcasting.